Dragons are power!
Okay, this is Refuting Evolution. In this video I'm gonna talk about the fossil record. There are basically four things about the fossil record, four things that simply do not match with the theory of evolution.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Four things that evolutionists cannot explain. Number one, we have out-of-place fossils. Number two, we have organisms that forgot to evolve. Number three, we have living fossils. And number four, gaps in the fossil record. So number one, out-of-place fossils. Evolutionists usually say that a rabbit in the Precambrian will
AQ, you've just cited a known hoax.
falsify evolution. Well, we don't have rabbits in the Precambrian, but we do find a whole bunch of out-of-place fossils. For example, Michael Cremo, in his book The Hidden History of the Human Race, reports hundreds of fossils and man-made artifacts that are found to be dated much older than what evolution predicts.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
This, of course, according to your own dating methods. Some of these artifacts are hundreds of millions of years old. So this is kind of like a problem for evolution.
Could you please tell me what part of archaeology has to do with biodiversity?
Recently, a 400,000 human tooth was found in Israel.
Which human species was it? There are a myriad of different human species that have been discovered, so you have to be more specific on which human species you're talking about.
This is also a problem because evolutionists claim that humans evolved in Africa 100,000 years ago.
Again, which human species?
And they claim to have even evidence from DNA. So, if humans evolved in Africa 100,000 years ago, why is there a 400,000 human tooth in Israel? Even more interesting, a 400 million year old human skeletons have been found in the lowest Cretaceous.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
For some reason I can't find this claim on any peer-reviewed website. Oh, right.
Which is dated, as I said, 140 million years old. So this is very interesting because evolutionists do not deny that these human skeletons exist, and they don't deny that they were found in the Cretaceous.
Except the people who make this claim have not been cooperative in supplying information to support this claim.
But they say that these skulls are simply recent burials. I mean, they say that the skeletons were buried recently. But this leads to my main point. If we find a rabbit in the Precambrian, evolutionists will simply say that someone buried that rabbit in the Precambrian recently.
Except the Precambrian rabbit was a hoax, and the people who claim for the 140 million year old human skeleton have not yet provided sufficient information to back up their claim.
So there's nothing that will falsify evolution. I mean, not even a rabbit in the Precambrian, because if we find a rabbit in the Precambrian, evolutionists will simply say that someone buried the rabbit and put it there. They've done it before. They did it. They're doing this with these fossils. So evolution is simply unfalsifiable. There's nothing
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
in the fossil record that will falsify evolution. But anyway, also transitional fossils. Transitional fossils are usually not found in the correct order. We don't see something like this, like fish, then tiktaalik, or any other so-called half fish, half tetrapod, and then fully formed tetrapods. we actually find tetrapods older than Tiktaalik and all the other supposed transitional forms from fish and tetrapods. So we don't, in most of the cases, transitional fossils are not even found in the correct order. They are not found in the order predicted by evolution.
Bullshit! No paleontologist has ever claimed that Tiktaalik is the ancestral to all tetrapods. It is by definition transitional form because it does have characteristics of both the descendant and parent clades. Tiktaalik may just be a basal karyotype of what the descendant of all tetrapods was. It by no means disproves evolution because no paleontologist ever claimed that it was the ancestor to all tetrapods.
So what evolutionists always do is they get the fossils, they put them in the order that they want, and then claim that this is evidence for evolution. Okay, number 2, organisms that forgot to evolve. With this I mean that there are plenty of organisms that are found in the fossil record in layers that are supposed to be hundreds of millions of years old, and the animals are still unchanged.
Wrong again, because some animals are more generalized than others and can survive in a myriad of different environments than more specialized animals.
We have examples like the clam, starfish, many insects, jellyfish, and many others. Evolutionists say something like this usually. In an unchanging environment, stabilizing selection will tend to keep organisms largely unchanged. But a reply will be, well, mutations occur in DNA even in an unchanging environment. Mutations are random. Mutations simply occur regardless if there is a selective pressure or not.
Most of which are neutral and have no effect on the organism whatsoever.
And natural selection will not weed out at least neutral mutations. This means that at least some mutations will survive and accumulate. Moto Kimura, for example, according to his research, the vast majority of evolutionary change at the molecular level is caused by random drift and selectively neutral mutations. This means that most of the supposed evolutionary change occurs due to neutral mutations, meaning that natural selection doesn't play a major role in most of the evolutionary change, meaning that
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
most organisms should evolve roughly at the same speed. So why are there clams? Why did animals like clams simply didn't evolve in so many years?
Do I have to explain it again? Some animals are more generalized than others and can survive in a myriad of more different environments than more specialized animals. Some animals are so generalized that they're able to survive catastrophes that would kill off most life on the planet.
That's an interesting question. Number 3, living fossils. Well, living fossils are not simply fossils that forgot to evolve, as we mentioned before. But living fossils also prove that evolutionary assumptions are wrong.
Are you fucking kidding me? Do I need to explain this shit to you again?
Evolutionists start with 2 assumptions, and from there they interpret the geologic column. The first assumption is that an organism's appearance in the fossil record shows when it first evolved, and the second assumption is an organism's disappearance from the fossil record shows when it went extinct. Based on these assumptions, we are supposed to believe that humans and dinosaurs never coexisted. But the fact that we have living fossils prove that these 2 assumptions are wrong.
I'm not explaining it again after this. Some animals are more generalized than others, and thus they can survive in various different environments, sometimes so generalized that they can survive global catastrophes and survive in the aftermath.
And number 4, gaps in the fossil record. Evolutionists say, usually, the reply about the gaps in the fossil record is that not every single species that has ever lived fossilizes. Well, this may be true, but According to a study, John Curtin determined that 99% of the mammal species living today are also present in the fossil record. This means that 99% of the mammals that are living today are also found in the fossil record.
Wrong fucking again. 99% of all representatives of current mammal clades are extinct. Some of which, such as creodonts, are completely and totally extinct and have no living representatives of today. And it's not just mammals. What was once the vastly diverse clade of dinosaurs is now only represented by one descendant clade, birds.
This means that 99% or around 99% of the animals, or at least the mammals that has ever existed,
99.9% of all animals that ever lived are now extinct, and mammals are nowhere near as diverse as they once were.
Should be found also in the fossil record. So we will expect to find a fossil record at least in the mammal evolution that is 99% complete. So, for example, for all the fossils, that were supposed to exist between land mammals and marine mammals, of all of the fossils that were, of all the intermediate fossils that were supposed to live, we will expect to find around 99% of the ones that actually live.
No, we shouldn't. Fossilization is an incredibly rare process. The animal must die at the right place at the right time under the right conditions.
Not only like 2 or 3 that we find in the fossil record. With this I'm trying to say that there is scientific evidence that most of the fossils, most of the animals that have ever lived should also be found in the fossil record. So the fossil record is complete, or at least nearly complete.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
So you cannot use gaps. You cannot explain gaps, okay?
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
So the conclusion is very simple. The fossil record is far from being what evolution predicts.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So when evolutionists say, how do you explain the fossil record? Well, there's nothing to explain. We don't need to explain anything because the fossil record is not consistent with what evolution claims or predicts.
We have found hundreds of transitional species, so many of which that we don't know where to place them. The fossil record supports that all specialized forms descended from a more basal karyotypical generalized form, and doesn't refute evolution in all its demonstrable proof of it.